Appreciate it. All right. Okay, so bunny enrichment. Again, my name is Becky Lembo. I'm an HRS educator. I volunteer with Triangle Rabbits. I volunteer with SPCA Wake County, and I also volunteer with the Wake County Animal Center. I specialize in bunnies, but I also work with a lot of other small animals like guinea pigs and chinchillas and rats and mice and gerbils and etc. So a lot of these toys that you see can also be used as chew toys for those species as well. Okay, so I've got a lot of pictures. I actually have 11,000 pictures on my phone. Most of them are bunnies. So as you can see, I'm a little bunny obsessed. So the first type of behavior I want to talk about is pulling. And a lot of these toys that you see here, I've made. And the reason why I've made them is because, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner here, that's Mr. Belvedere. And his fence is, his X-Pen is covered with chew toys because when he gets mad and he can't come out to play rather, he will chew on the fence. So rather than have him chew on the fence and hurt his teeth or, you know, obviously absorb any chemicals or things he shouldn't, I put toys up there and safe toys that he can chew on. So I mentioned when I first started, I have a file that has some suggested DIY toy parts and some you can buy, some that you can make. As you can see on his X-Pen here, it's a combination of everything because it can get expensive to keep buying toys. So I will send that file to you after this via email, and it's also available in the chat in a PDF form. Okay, so pulling is one of the behaviors I see most with bunnies. It's usually preceded with a chinning motion, and chinning, you know, they have scent glands in their chin, so they're going to claim it as theirs. If you can see in the example of the other black bunny on the slide, or one of the other black bunnies on the slide, there's an arrow pointing from the X-Pen to the toy part in his mouth. That was actually at the SPCA, and that was an example of a bunny pulling a toy through the other side of the X-Pen. So it provided a little bit more resistance, and it was irresistible because it was actually made for another bunny to enjoy. So it had an added bonus of that. And as you can see, the bunny has a pretty happy look on his face. He achieved that goal. Achievement unlocked. So a lot of people don't have X-Pens, or if they have an X-Pen, it's for a temporary solution for a play area. So another type of way you can hang toys and provide resistance is this bench. So this little busy bench here is actually made by Small Pet Select. And you can see there's a hay cube toy that my bunnies really like. Samantha, my sweet little bunny, is over there inspecting it. That's the first time she got it. There's little birch log legs. So, I mean, she can pull from obviously the toys hanging on the bench. And then there's also on the bottom of the bench, there's a little rope kind of woven in. So they can pull that too. So you can also, you know, a couple different ways that they can pull. And of course they can jump on top. So that's a great multitasking toy right there. One of the things I noticed with the pulling, and you might notice too, is and this is where the troubleshooting comes in. So if you have a bunny who normally can reach to the top of a toy and likes to pull, and who all of a sudden stop doing it, that can mean one or two things. That might mean they're bored of the toy, but it also might mean that there's something else going on. So when we're watching them interact with these toys and providing them enrichment, we're also want to be watching them to make sure there aren't any signs of an illness or an issue that we might be missing. Okay, so that's the one example of pulling. All right, oops, hold on, sorry. I didn't mean to play the video just yet. I got excited. All right, so here are some other examples of things you can pull. So phone books are huge. Phone books are also very rare now. I'm pretty sure they're antiques. When I can find phone books, I get very excited. And again, we see Mr. Belvedere here on the left-hand side. And I put that on the bottom of his X-Pen where, again, he was chewing it. And I put the phone book there to hopefully erase that issue. But the phone book is a good option to kind of give them something to pull on. And it also allows them to shred. So then in the next picture, you see Samantha. She has this wonderful DIY. It's not really even a toy. It's actually craft packing paper. And you can get it in rolls at the dollar store for $1. And you can wrap that around X pens. You can wrap it around fences. You can tuck it under a toy. And it really gives them a lot of that resistance that they like. So I was thinking about this a lot in terms of enrichment and in terms of enrichment with hay and edibles rather than just toys. And of course, when I say edibles, you can put a treat or pellets in a toy, and of course, hay and toys. But I was thinking in terms of what types of ways we could give them their hay too, because my bunnies get bored of just having the hay in the litter box. So this is actually Norbert, and he has this wonderful, it's a hay rack with a built-in litter box. And the hay rack here is vertical with bars, and he's too big, as you can see, he's a big boy. He's too big to get through those bars, so I wouldn't suggest it for like a baby rabbit, that might hurt them. But for a bigger bunny, 4 pounds or up, I would say, this is a great option because they can pull the hay from that hay rack. And they might dig in it, and of course, you know, a lot of the hay is going to end up in the litter box because that's just what happens, and that's fine. But this, I thought this would be a good example of enrichment for hay in different ways to show it. And then actually right behind that hay rack where his ear's pointing, there's a hay roller, which is really good as long as it's hanging, because you don't want it to be on the floor and get their feet caught in it. And then a little hay ball, and it's the same principle. You want it to be hanging. You want to make sure that they can't get their head in there, and you want to stuff it with plenty of hay so they can pull the hay out. All right, so here's the video I started, and I don't know if it's going to buffer it. If it does, let me know once the video is done. It's only a few seconds. This is an example of a bunny who was very excited about the toy I gave her at the SPCA. She was adopted a couple of years ago, but as you can see, this was a pretty big moment for her. Okay, so she was like, too much paparazzi. I'm gonna stop pulling that, and I'm gonna run behind my house. So she loved that toy. I'm sure it ended up going home with her if there was any pieces left by the time she was adopted. And so that's a good example of just a pretty small, I would also call that a toss or a chew toy, the way that they can pull it and just kind of fling it. So, all right, so next topic, chewing. So chewing probably should have gone first, because I think chewing's the biggest issue for a lot of bunnies, whether it's chewing on the wrong things or not chewing enough. And you want to make sure you're giving your bunny toys to chew on, because if you don't, they're going to find your stuff and it's going to become their toys to chew on. So recently we have an example of an adopter who adopted a bunny, and the bunny felt that the adopter's books were his toys because he really didn't have enough chew toys and variety of different things to chew on. So if you don't cure their boredom, they're going to do it for you. So there's a lot of different bunny safe chew toys you can make and you can purchase. Cardboard is a great option. Pine pieces, twigs, willow. Willow comes in many different forms: baskets, balls, tents I've seen, many other shapes. Peeled vine is another one that actually I don't think I have here, but a lot of the that little ball right here with the fuzzy black bunny, that's a peeled vine, and that's safe for them. And actually this one here has peeled vine. I use that a lot because it's a great option for, and it's a lot cheaper than the willow. Seagrass, palm leaf, yucca. I'm sure you've either seen these things or have purchased toys with them in them. Those are just some of the favorites that I find. So one thing is, and I always like to say this, not everything, just like with humans, not every single toy is safe for every single bunny. So you know your bunny, you know your bunny's behavior. If your bunny ingests things, like for example, my bunny Norbert would ingest cardboard. So if I gave him cardboard, I'd have to make sure that was a supervised toy. I'd have to make sure that once he ripped it off, I kind of, took it away from him so he wasn't gonna ingest it. And if he did end up ingesting it, I would just give him another toy that he can, something like willow or willow wreath or palm leaf or something like that. So just make sure that when you're giving them these toys, especially if it's a new toy, you're just watching them. You're going to make sure that it's going to be safest for your bunny. So let's see. I don't think I have any videos here. Nope. Okay. So, oh boy, we got a little bit of overlap here. So different types of hay and hay cubes also obviously provide a great opportunity for chewing. As you probably know, bunnies' teeth grow constantly. They're one of the many small animals that have that lovely feature. Hopefully it won't be something that affects your baseboards. Hopefully it'll be something, give them some good things to chew on. So here we have a little, on the left-hand side, that's Mr. Belvedere with his little new Easter basket. This is kind of interesting. He doesn't usually like orchard grass in his litter box, but if I put it in a little box like this, he loves it. And another tip for chewing and things like that, and this is probably more applicable to foraging, but I want to mention it here as well. Dried herbs are a wonderful way to get your bunnies to eat more hay. Dried lavender, dried roses. There are lots of different options. So I just wanted to note that because this has dried lavender in it and he is especially fond of that. So we got Chewy Willow here being super adorable. And so this toy is a great example of the bottom is a seagrass basket. It's got a vine ball. It's got, it's hard to see, but a seagrass flower, yucca, and a pine piece. And the rope is untreated sisal. So it's really got a different, it's layered, it's textured, it has a lot of variety. Now, some bunnies prefer just one type of toy. So maybe just one willow ball without anything in it. But I find that when I make toys like this and I give them to bunnies, they really tend to be interested in the textures. And an added bonus for the balls, especially in anything that's hollow, is you can stuff it with hay, treats, pellets, pretty much anything, other smaller toys that they might be interested in, even vegetables, if you can make sure they can get the vegetables out so they don't rot. So, I mean, a chew toy can serve many functions. And this is, on the other thing, this is Samantha chewing a willow wreath. We're very lucky locally, we have a beloved community selling willow wreaths at most of our events. And you can also, sometimes they have them for sale at non-events. So my bunnies love it. And this is one of the troubleshooting toys that I like, because I know that if my bunny isn't eating a willow wreath, that means there's something going on. It might be that's the only sign of quote unquote illness that I see. And that's not really even a sign of illness. That's just a sign of a behavior that's changing remarkably. Because willow wreaths in my house are like gold. And if they're not even eating that, I know that there's something going on. So this is actually the video I'm going to show you right now is she passed away, unfortunately, last year, but my bunny Madeline enjoying her nightly hay cube treat. This is a condensed cube of hay that is it's just incredible. It does have a little tiny bit of alfalfa in it, just enough to keep them interested. It's made by KT, but she just really loved the heck out of it. So I gave her one every day. And she was obviously little and not overweight, and she didn't have any calcium issues. So the tiny bit of alfalfa was okay for her, but. I just think that's adorable. So she would go back and chew and chew and chew that little hay cube until it was pretty much flat. And at that point, I'd have to either step on it and get it lodged in my toe or throw it out. So that was a added bonus for that one. Okay, so next slide. Oops. So different types of play include tossing. Tossing is a really fun behavior to watch. And I find that bunnies really like to toss things, especially when they're showing off and when things make noise. So these little baby keys on the left-hand side with this cute little white fluffy bunny, that's a wonderful toy. I mean, you can get them on Amazon, BPA free, relatively cheap. Same with the stacking cups on the right-hand side. But the baby keys I want to mention, anything plastic that's definitely going to be a supervised toy. So when you're done with this, you're going to pick it up and you're going to put it away just so that they don't chew on the plastic. Now, the chances of them doing that are slight, but I tend to err on the side of caution. So another kind of DIY toy is a toilet paper cube. Any excess glue removed, any excess paper towel removed, you can cut them to remove any, pieces of glue that are still on there, and stuff it with hay, stuff it with twigs. And I mean, that's a great foraging toy as well. But especially with these guinea pigs here, even these sweet little fuzzy potatoes can toss this. And I find, especially if it has a little stick in it, like this little stick here, it's that the Rev he has a little candy apple. That was one of his Christmas presents. And it's just a lot of fun. It provides leverage for them to toss. And then I like to put a heavier thing on the one side. In this case, the candy apple filled with hay, just to kind of give them a little bit more resistance. And I keep saying the word resistance, and even though we know they're very different from wild rabbits, that's one of the things that they would do naturally. So that's one of their behaviors. And then this is one of my favorite videos. It's the first time I gave Samantha stacking cups, and you can get stacking cups again, Amazon, BPA free. I know the well-kept rabbit has some beautiful neutral colored ones that are really pretty too. So let me play this video. And let me put that on pause for a second. In between the stacking cups is dehydrated romaine. But you can put pellets in there. You can put, hard treats. You can even put, fresh vegetables as long as they're going to be. And so you see actually, I put treats in that one too. So you can see there's a little treat left there that she's going to have to find shortly, which she will. But obviously it's a great foraging toy. It's a great logic toy, but it's also a great toss toy. And there's another video I have of her just basically plowing into the big tower of stacking cups and just feeling so proud of herself afterward. But oops, go. All right. So I talked a lot about foraging already, but foraging and digging is probably one of the behaviors we want to encourage the most with toys that are safe for bunnies. When I first adopted Mr. Belvedere about 7 years ago, my husband and I went away for the day. We left him in his carpeted bedroom, didn't think anything of it. He'd never pulled out the carpet. At the end of the day, which was a 3-hour day, we're gone for 3 hours, he'd pulled the entire carpet up from the corner. So he was communicating to us that he did not have, that we had to put a tile in the corner to get him from doing that again, because bunnies love corners. And B, we weren't giving him enough enrichment to forage, to dig. So, we got him, it's Samantha featured in this photo in the middle, but we got him one of these little cardboard foraging toys. You can stick pellets and treats in the middle and hay. We did the brown packing paper. We did a box with just a box with 2 holes cut out of it, and rolled up newspaper, telephone books if you're lucky enough to find them. Another great toy for foraging and digging, and I have more guinea pigs here, is the paper bag stuffed with hay, stuffed with herbs, toys, treats, etc. And the great thing for, the potato-sized piggy, they can fit into that bag beautifully. So I see a lot of them actually eating and hiding in there. But for bunnies, they're a little bit bigger and they can't usually fit in there. So it's just a great, it's a great toy to encourage foraging. And they can make a lot of noise with it too. Those paper bags, when they rustle, can be pretty loud. And then on the right-hand side, we have a cute little bunny getting her, I think, probably first foraging box at the SPCA. It's just regular Timothy hay and a regular small craft box. But for some reason, they love it. I keep the lid open and they can kind of, obviously they can dig in there, but they can kind of rock the toy a little bit. If you want to provide a little bit more of a challenge, you can close the lid and cut a little shape out of the top. So that's a great logic toy as well. So just different, there are many different things you can use to dig with. You can also provide them with different types of material to dig in, as long as they're not chewing on it and ingesting it, that's fine. One of the things my bunnies like to do, and I'm sure you've seen this before, is they'll take their blankets and they'll kind of dig at them to make the perfect form for their body or make the perfect little pillow. And that's kind of that's another, way that we can show that behavior of foraging and digging. Okay, so moving on to logic toys. Logic toys can come in many, many different varieties. A lot of the chew toys that we saw previously also, oops, sorry. I got to get that video playing feature a little bit. I'm too eager to do it. So a lot of the toys we saw previously, especially the toys that are hollow, can also be used as logic toys. You can put hay in it, like I said, treats, etc. Some of the toys here are made specifically for bunnies, like this little, it's a pine wood box. And then you lift the lid, and then every night this little bunny got a treat from it, which was really nice. And sometimes I'll stack them with different types of parts they can chew on as well, as kind of like a little lever to lift the box. This one is a little, the bunny with the pie. That pie actually opens, and the bottom of it has an oxbow twist, one of those Timothy twists. So that's a lot of fun for them to get it open, and you can stuff it with whatever you want. I mean, pretty much any box you have hanging around that's not, treated with chemicals can work as a logic toy. Toilet paper rolls can be used as logic toys if you cut a little hole out of the middle and then kind of fold the ends. And that's actually, I think that's one of the DIY toys in the PDF that I'll be sending you. And then they also make logic toys for cats and dogs. They do make some now for bunnies, but for the majority of, from what I've seen, the majority are for cats and dogs. And again, some of these are plastic, so you're going to make sure you want them to be supervised. This one right here with the colorful blocks, that's actually wood, and I believe that was made for bunnies. I got that from Bunny Approved, but I don't believe they sell those toys anymore. But you can find a lot of different options on Amazon. I think has probably the best right now. And then the toy that I'm going to show you in this video, this round disc, that was actually a dog toy. So the orange handles are dog bones. So there she looks at me for help. She's a very persistent bunny. She doesn't give up. There, she found the pellets. So when you're using logic toys, you want to make sure that the size of the pellet or the treat or whatever you're putting in the hole is easy for them to get out. You don't want them to get frustrated. So you saw there for a second, she was getting a little bit frustrated. And then she was like, you know what, back at it. I want those pellets. And this is another one of those troubleshooting toys that I've mentioned. If you have a nightly routine or a routine every other night of working with logic toys and putting pellets in them, and they seem lethargic and they don't want to do it, or they're not putting an effort into it, or they're really just sitting in a corner, obviously hunched, we know that's a sign of pain. That could be an indication that they're not feeling well either. So and if you notice her face is a little crooked, she had a really bad ear infection that needed she had her ear canal removed because of the ear infections. So her face was partially paralyzed, but as you can see, she was 7 years old in this video. It didn't slow her down one bit. She had no idea that she was specially abled. So she's a good girl. All right. So tunneling and hiding, really, I feel like when a lot of people see their bunnies running away and going into a tunnel, at least when I first adopted my bunnies, I kind of felt like they didn't want to be with me. But as I've observed their personalities, I found that, yeah, they want to be with me, but they want to be in their space while they're with me. So rather than be out in the open, a lot of my bunnies preferred to be under a bench or in a castle, or as you see here, in a tunnel, or half hiding under the couch like the Wicked Witch of the West. That's Norbert. They might want to be with me, but also tunnel and hide as part of their natural behavior. They're prey animals, so we want to be sure that we're always respecting that. and we're always respecting their space and their boundaries. Now, if they go into their box and they give you the bunny butt, which means they turn around and they show you their butt, sorry, that might mean, you know what, give them some space. But in these examples, these are all relaxed bunnies wanting to be petted. The bunny on the left here, my good girl, she was one of my fosters. She actually she loved to actually sit on my shoulder. So that was one of her jumping points on from something high into my shoulder. But I also put a little bed there for her to just kind of relax in it. And she, you know, obviously did. But here she's looking either to jump on my shoulder or to get petted. I'm not sure which. And I mean, all of these examples, with the exception of my couch, are things that they can tunnel and hide in, but also chew on. So I see a lot of toys sold at Petco and PetSmart that are plastic, that are made for bunnies. And there is actually a plastic tunnel made by Ware. That's kind of a crinkle tunnel that I feel comfortable with bunnies, you know, in a supervised play space. But for the most part, those plastic igloos and things like that, I really just don't. I've seen too many of them be chewed on and plastic pieces fall off. So that's why I say, you know, if you're gonna make tunnels, stick to the cardboard, stick to the wood, you know, and if it's kiln dried pine, it's safe. So, and these are all examples of pine toys that are kiln dried, rather versus shavings. The shavings aren't necessarily kiln dried and they have a lot of oils that can harm them. So that's the difference of that. If you've heard that pine isn't safe for your bunny, this kiln dried pine is safe. And they also have a kiln dried pine pelleted litter that's safe for your bunnies. And again, the difference is it doesn't have the oils of the shaved pines. Okay, so climbing. Oh, I used the same picture twice. That's how cute she is. Climbing is a great way for your bunnies to just kind of get a different perspective on life. This is a great troubleshooting behavior. If your bunny is a climber and then one day your bunny stops climbing and just refuses to climb anymore, that could be a good indication. You know, maybe their belly hurts, maybe they hurt their paw, you know, but definitely you might want to take them to the vet. And of course, you know, you observe their other behaviors too. Are they eating? Are they able to hop well? Are they doing the bunny 500 like they usually do? So in this case, you see right here in the example with Mr. Belvedere on top of the castle on a bench, and there's a bench on top. That bench on top here was put there because he jumped from this castle to I had an indoor hutch, and he would try to jump on the roof of the indoor hutch, and obviously that's pretty dangerous. So I put that bench there knowing that he wasn't going to jump on that bench. He never did. And it would also provide him something to chew on and a blocker. I could have also placed a cardboard box there, taller, to block him with, but this bench was just a little bit cuter. But again, when they have something, sometimes bunnies hop up and they don't think about how they're going to hop down. So if you're going to give them a spot to climb up, make sure they have a safe spot to get down. And this bench right here, I love it. And it's a great bench for them to run under, but the top of it's really slick it has a slick pine. It doesn't have any shapes on it. So they can easily kind of slip off of it. So that's why I used it as more of a blocker than anything. Okay, and as you see Norbert here, I would stack the litter boxes to clean and he'd like to jump in them. And so you have to think too, bunnies are pretty low to the ground. They don't have the same ability to see things higher than we do. So climbing kind of gives them that a little bit too. And it can be a lot of fun for them. So including climbing, or as an offshoot of climbing, agility courses are a great way for your bunny to expend energy. We did briefly have an agility club, but it wasn't well attended, and it was kind of a lot of work. But this is very easy. All this that we made was DIY. And I think our Pinterest page has a link to DIY bunny toys. You can actually buy most cat agility courses, or very small dog agility courses can also work if you're interested in doing that. or you can just set up like a paper towel tube connected to 2 boxes and make it really simple. You don't have to, make it fancy. But an agility course is a great way to get them, they can hide, they can do the bunny 500, they can climb, they can jump. A lot of bunnies actually would go under this bar, which I always thought was really cute, and kind of crawl on their bellies instead of that. And then this hoop, which is a lot of fun. You could just use a hula hoop just a little bit off the floor. Whenever you're making an obstacle, though, like a hoop or a bar, you want to make sure it's very easy for it to fall off right away, because you don't want their legs or any body part to get tangled in the obstacle. So this is a video of a bunny thinking about jumping. Okay, so that was pretty cute. A lot of the time during the agility courses, since it was held at the previous animal location, it was a lot of stimulation for bunnies because it was a new space. They smelled other bunnies. There's a lot going on. So I think it would actually work well to do it on a more regular basis at home. Okay. Okay. And this is kind of just combining all of what we talked about, different types of play area examples. If you notice, I think there's bunny poop in all of them. So a stray bunny poop here and there is to be expected. If you have a very fancy rug, I would not, I would put something on top of it to let your bunny have something else to shed or possibly pee or poop on. But the play areas, you want to make sure, like especially a box, a Heidi box, if it's permanent in their home or in their play area, you always want to make sure it has 2 holes. This example right here on the right, this is actually last week at the SPCA. I set up a really basic play area for this little bunny. Somebody donated this wonderful wood bench. I, just cut up a target box. We have a phone book. As you can see, the banana mat in the corner here has had some digging going on there. And that bunny actually ended up, after, it was like a 2-hour play session. After the 2 hours, he had his head all, relaxed on that little lump that he made right there. It was pretty cute. And then that tunnel I told you about, that plastic tunnel, that's what it looks like. But again, that plastic tunnel is for supervised playtime. So I don't let the bunnies have it unless I'm there watching them. And some of the bunnies actually like to jump on top of it too. And you really want to be careful about that because they can slip. When I have a tunnel or something that's round that can roll, you always want to make sure you butt it up to something that's heavy. So in this case, there's that heavy bench, and then there's the box so that the bunny won't roll around in the tunnel when he's in it. This is an example of a super fancy bunny bedroom play area that has the castles, everything matches, it's really cute. On the bridge here, there's a little hop and flop bed, and there's all sorts of fun toys to chew on. So that's a great picture, great example of different types of enrichment that you can put in their play space. And then this is one of my fosters. I believe this was the bunny. She was on a diet because she had been previously given pellets with like corn and cereal bits and all sorts of things that bunnies really shouldn't have. They should just have, pelleted hay, kind of Timothy hay pellets. So I made sure she had a big spot, to play in, lots of different types of enrichment. We got a little Timothy tunnel right here. Oxbow makes that. And lots of different hay. And then make sure I wanted to include this here, even though it looks really messy. It's a real life example. And you should also have litter boxes. And I realize there's only one little corner of a litter box here, but I realize in each of the examples, as cute as they are, it doesn't show the litter boxes. All the litter boxes are like right outside of the pictures. So, make sure you have a place for them to go to the bathroom that's, regular to them, or in a litter box, not necessarily on the floor, because that might be uncomfortable. Okay. And then thank you so much for, listening to and attending our presentations, especially about enrichment and wanting to make your lives and your bunnies' lives more wonderful. So that is it. I'm gonna stop recording.
Woohoo! Good job.